Treat yourself, it's all you need to do. Treat yourself, it's all you need to do.
I say, treat yourself.
Hey, welcome into episode number 2 of Treat Yourself. 2 things I got to address right off the top here. First, this is dropping a few weeks later than I really would have liked, but it's because of the deep, and in my opinion, completely unexpected run by the Patriots in the postseason en route to their 6th Super Bowl championship. Glad I was wrong, but things got a little hectic and unfortunately fell by the wayside. That being said, I can promise you, going forward, these are going to be released on a more consistent and timely basis. Secondly, I can't thank you guys enough for watching that first episode and for the positive feedback. Like I mentioned in episode 1, doing this is more about scratching a proverbial itch for me. So I really didn't have any expectations in regard to people actually, watching it. It got over 3,000 views in the first week alone. To say that I was pleasantly surprised and flattered, that would be an understatement. So again, thank you for watching and for spreading the word. You guys are the best. And with that, let's get into episode number 2 of Treat Yourself. It's time to talk about steaks.
As long as I've been yammering on about food and restaurants on Twitter, I've probably gotten more questions about where to find a great steak more than anything else. And I find that kind of encouraging because I've been under the impression that hitting up a high-end steakhouse doesn't have the same level of prestige that it once did. Like during the mid to late 2000s when every bro wanted to bro down with some steaks. And I should know because I was one of those horrible steak bros. Anyway, douchiness of that era aside, there's still few things better than going out and enjoying a perfectly cooked piece of meat, along with some nice sides and a few cocktails. And these are my favorite places to do just that in and around the city. Let's begin with the Bancroft, which, in case you didn't know, is not in the city. They have 2 locations. One is in Burlington, the other's in Peabody, right next to the North Shore Mall. There's a few slight differences between them, with the Burlington one being a little bit more of a classier feel with a traditional steakhouse menu, and the one in Peabody has a few more non-steak items on their menu, like this risotto dish that my lady recently got, and this Szechuan-crusted ahi tuna that's light and filling and just the most delicious. Plus, this location has more of a loungy feel, and they're always playing great music. Either way, you can't go wrong with either location, because when it comes to steaks, the Bancroft does it right every single time. Whatever cut that you're craving, from a 12-ounce filet to my go-to, the 16-ounce 28-day aged prime ribeye, the Bancroft has it, and it's going to be cooked to perfection. The Bancroft also serves their steaks topped with a few house-made chips and some peppers and garlic. I'm way into it, but if you're not, just tell them you don't want it with all that nonsense. Oh, and they always include a little fried polenta cow with your steak, which is as adorable as it is delicious. The sides at the Bancroft, all phenomenal, from the standard starches to the cream spinach that they top with a fried egg that's going to make your knees weak once you break that yolk and it jizzes all over it. Oh my god, it's so good. Their bartenders, all top-notch, and they can make you whatever you're looking for, including, yes, a proper Sazerac. Oh, and the rolls at the Bancroft, oh my god, I almost forgot about the dinner rolls that they bring out. They're warm, they're soft, and they're always glistening with butter and sea salt. Look at those. I assure you, they are as good as they look. Everything I've ever stuffed into my face at the Bancroft has been great, and the best thing I can say about it is it's my hands-down go-to spot lately when I want a steak. Also, you should keep in mind, this is coming from somebody who's sort of a snob when it comes to ribeyes. I typically turn my big nose up at any place that's not serving them bone-in, but at the Bancroft, it really doesn't matter. They're nailed every single time. Now that I got my favorite out of the way, let's actually focus on treating yourself to a steak in the city, shall we? There's no shortage of places to go, from the overhyped, the overly pretentious, and the hilariously douchey where you feel like you're just trying to eat a piece of meat in a Vegas club. So let's avoid those and focus on the really good ones. Looking to go big? Money not going to be an issue? Then go to Grill 23. As soon as you walk into Grill 23, it really just emanates old school class. And they got the steaks, the sides, and the drinks to match. Grill 23 is where you're going to want to go if you're not fucking around. Engagement dinner, you're looking to impress a client, you want to celebrate that raise you just got, this is the spot. It's also worth mentioning, for any of you real wine nerds, Grill 23 has one of the only master sommeliers working in the state. And their famous coconut cake, it's an absolute must-try. And I don't even like sweets. Hell, I don't even really like coconut. But when I bit into this coconut cake for the first time, it was like, oh, come on, you gotta be kidding me. It's ridiculous. Down at the Seaport, you've got Del Frisco's, which has got the cuts that you're looking for in one of the cooler rooms in the city when it comes to the view. You come to this Del Frisco's during a nice sunset in the summertime, it's stunning. And I've been to this place a handful of times, and I've always been equally impressed with the food as I am with the servers and the bartenders. The only issue is parking can be a bit of a bitch. So in my opinion, you're going to want to Uber over here. And while we're down at the Seaport, I also want to recommend Morton's. Tom Brady brought to you tonight by Morton's. With 78 locations in the United States and abroad. All right, get out of here, Jim Gray. We get it. We know about Morton's. And that's a good thing, right? I mean, if you've been to one Morton's, you've been to them all. And I've never really had a bad meal at Morton's. Now, are there better options? Obviously. But it's not a bad place to treat yourself to a steak. Hey, speaking of chains, the Ruth's Chris is worth going to at least once, simply for the location alone. Because if you didn't know, it's inside the old Boston City Hall. And it's just really cool from both a historical and aesthetic standpoint. It's a beautiful place, and it's got a big, lively bar, too. And Ruth's, like Morton's, a bit more affordable than, say, a Grill 23. And they even participate in Restaurant Week, so you can check it out then, as long as you're okay with dealing with bigger crowds and service at a frantic pace. As I mentioned in episode 1, Brico on Hanover Street in the North End. They have an unbelievable 24-ounce bone-in ribeye, and they serve certified Angus beef. So if you're in that area, and maybe you want to fill up on a delicious steak after a game of the Garden, you can do no better than Brico. Last but not least, if you want a high-quality steak, or maybe even a nice, bloody piece of artery-clogging prime rib, and you don't want to break the bank, then you got to go to the Stockyard in Brighton. Located across from the New Balance building and the old Sports Hub building that I missed desperately, it's got a great no-frills atmosphere, quality food, and service that is as consistent and excellent at a restaurant that you could find in the state. They also have a heavy pour. 2 or 3 of their martinis here, it's going to leave you sideways and ordering an Uber, let me tell you. I love the Stockyard, and I couldn't be happier that new owners took it over and opened it up back around 5 years ago. That will do it for episode 2, Steaks. But why didn't he mention? A reminder, if I didn't mention it, I think it sucks. Or I need to go to it, like Polana Prime and Peabody, I promise I'll go. People keep recommending it, and it's a shame that I haven't been there yet. It looks great. If you like this episode, more to come in the future, the near future, I promise. And if you could be so kind, send the link to any of your friends who might be interested in checking it out. And share it on your socials. Till next time, this is Big Jim Murray reminding you, life's too short, people, so treat yourself.